My name is Melissa Cross, and I'm the Director of Education with CAHME. The CAHME Update is an annual tradition that dates back to when CAHME started, traditionally presented live at the AUPHA annual meeting through 2019. During the pandemic in 2020, this transitioned to a virtual session and continues in this forum today to reach the largest number of people globally and across all programs in healthcare management. We thank AUPHA, AACSB, EMA, and other organizations who have broadcasted the availability of this update to all its members. I'm now going to pass it over to Dr. Anthony Stanowski to formally begin the session today.
Everyone, welcome to today's CAHME's update. I'm Anthony Stanowski with CAHME. I heard recently that I was missed at a recent association meeting. It was my first miss in 8 years, and I do say I was really disappointed not to see a lot of you at that meeting. Unfortunately, there were family medical issues I had to address. I hope you all understand. As I look out in this group, I know that many of you, in fact, all of you, believe in family first. So for today, we continue the process of doing the CAHME update as we have for the past 3 years, outside of an association meeting and direct to you. You'll hear direct from leaders on the CAHME board who set our strategy. And as a reminder, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat session. We'll be monitoring them. We'll group them together. And then after the formal session is over, we'll have it open up for everyone to talk. So today, as we're preparing for the update, I went back and I looked at the past 30 years of CAHME updates. It was really kind of fascinating to go through and look through all those past historical information. Those late 1990s, early 2000s, they were challenging for CAHME. They were challenging financially. They were challenging programmatically, staff, relationships, but we're a different organization now. We're growing into new service lines, new markets, new countries, new relationships. We have a stable management structure. The average time for our team at CAHME is about 5 years right now. We have skilled and we have veteran staff support. We've invested in new technologies, new accreditation management portal, new annual report editor. And all this is done to make accreditation more efficient, for our site visitors to be well prepared for their site visit. So you're going to hear today from our board members who guide the direction of CAHME. They represent the academy and they also represent the practice of healthcare leadership. Todd Nelson's going to kick it off with the state of CAHME. Todd is the Chief Relationship Officer and the Director of Partner Relations with HFMA. He is also our board chair this year. Looking at standards are two folks, James Lineberger, who is the immediate past chair of the Standards Council, and Maureen Jones, who is the current chair, beginning her term July 1st. James is the executive director of Anesthesia Associates, and Maureen is the University of Kentucky director of graduate studies. I think from these two folks, you'll understand where we're going with our standards, what's kind of occurred over the past, and the importance of the next 2 years. In terms of accreditation, we're going to hear from Christine Wynn, who is the chair of our Accreditation Council. Christine is the senior vice president at Cooper University Health System. Christine will talk about how the Accreditation Council is looking at information and really trying to create greater reliability in the decisions that occur. Then we'll go into Dolores Clement, and Dolores is going to talk about the culture of the site visit and the key role of fellows and site visitors. I'm really excited about this part of the presentation with Dolores. I know most of you know Dolores, who's the Centera Professor Emerita at Virginia Commonwealth University, and the importance of the fellows and the site visits will really be the focus in there. And then finally, we'll end with Forrest Kim. Forrest is the executive director of the Robbins Institute for Health Policy and Leadership at Baylor University. He'll talk about the success of the past year and what we've kind of learned from that and where we're going as well. And again, after that, we'll open it up for some questions. So Todd, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you for all that you do for CAHME and for all of your support over the years.
Great. Thank you, Anthony. Very much appreciate the opportunity to address this group today. Healthcare management, and I don't really need to tell this group on the call, has gone through a ton of change. It's in a rapidly changing environment. The workforce is changing, and there's a significant amount of change that the academic community has to go through to help prepare people to enter the workforce. And we know and we see that you are changing. And CAHME has changed, and CAHME is going to continue to change over the years. But the board is committed to making the process of accreditation less burdensome, but maintaining those rigorous standards and criteria that have been established and set by leading academics and practitioners. And so that's something that won't change. And the board wants to broaden the impact of CAHME, thinking about how we continue to meet the mission of advancing the quality of healthcare management education. When I think about that, the board spends a lot of time thinking about the mission and the value statement for CAHME, advancing the quality of healthcare management education. That's really at the heart of everything that we do. We accomplish these goals by setting criteria that's measurable for excellent healthcare management education, by supporting, assisting, and advising programs which seek to meet or even exceed that criteria. And frankly, we want to make that information available, being transparent to interested constituencies for people looking for information. You see right here, our values are integrity, excellence, transparency, fairness, and recognition. And you'll see in our discussion today how the mission and these values permeate all of our initiatives. At HFMA, we recognize among many factors that contribute to the recent struggles of hospitals and other providers, workforce concerns are a key driver. And that's why I personally appreciate CAHME's work, and I'm happy to be dedicated to service of the industry and of the board here, and why HFMA is a corporate member. We see the value in what all of you are doing and what CAHME is doing. And that really helps guide the mission for that next generation of healthcare leaders and prepare them to serve, which is crucial to success. And frankly, I'm honored to be the chair of this organization. This slide here is to talk about, what we do. I think many of you may know this, but we accredit 141 programs from 90 different universities. We can see that the most prevalent degree is the Master's in Healthcare Administration, followed by the Master's in Science Healthcare Administration. And 31% of our programs are in the School of Public Health or Population Health Preventative Medicine, followed by Allied Health at 27%. So from a perspective of what CAHME does and where we do it, this is a great a slide to show you that. We actually had our first site visit outside of North America coming up in the fall of 2023. CAHME is a programmatic accreditor, which means that we accredit a program, not a school. And the programs that we accredit are healthcare management education. We are recognized by CHIA, or the Council of Higher Education Administration. They're an international advocate of academic quality. More than 3,000 degree granting colleges and universities are in CHIA, and it recognizes 60 different institutional and programmatic accrediting organizations. Right now, the team just submitted our CHIA re-recognition documents. As a reviewer, I'm proud of the progress CAHME has made over the past 7 years since our last re-recognition. Again, CAHME's values of transparency and excellence are best reflected in our advanced search tool. Back in 2013, CAHME board chair at the time, Kyle Grazier, who was also the chair of the University of Michigan's Department of Health Management and Policy, says that if the accreditation body could develop comparable measures for public use, I think that would be a real gift to the field. And frankly, employers hiring new graduates, faculty candidates, and prospective students have no comparable measures of program quality, she said. Well, we have them now. And I have to say, no one else does. No one else in healthcare management offers this quality of data free to the public. And in the last 12 months, we've had 55,000 views to our website to look at these profiles. It is a gift to the field for people looking out there to find this type of information. We also accredited programs that are recognized by the media, who only looks at CAHME accredited programs in their list. CAHME accredited programs have become the de facto criteria for media outlets like U.S. News and World Report, for Modern Healthcare, for the business press. The only report CAHME accredited programs in their list. Since only CAHME programs are listed, this is a big bump for our programs. CAHME maintains great working relationships with the media and has been referenced in publications in the past 2 years as far-ranging as the Washington Post to AHA News, now to HFM Journal, Modern Healthcare, and a variety of podcasts and social media offerings. So we continue to maintain those good relationships. And the profession has responded. Graduates from CAHME accredited programs make more money, $10,000 more than non-CAHME programs. And student debt is not statistically significant. When we look at an income analysis from a salaries of CAHME graduates 1 year post-grad is 17% higher than non-CAHME graduates. When it comes to average debt burden, the difference is not statistically significant, as I mentioned before, between CAHME versus non-CAHME programs. Overall, students graduating from a CAHME program are making $10,000 more while only spending a little more in the grand scheme of things on tuition. So we're very proud of that in the programs that are CAHME accredited. When we look at, how do our graduates feel about CAHME accreditation? This slide is around Net Promoter Score. And the only thing that we're really proud about is that students rate CAHME programs, or the one thing that we're very proud about, very highly. We use Net Promoter Score for a comparison to other industries, and CAHME accredited program graduates, the NPS is higher than education and retail. CAHME programs are, quote, off the charts, but this is you, frankly, the program directors, fulfilling an important need and doing it very, very well. For 2024, this does not mean that we're done. Just because we hit that, our initiatives for 2024 are focused on 3 different things. 1, providing value to our programs, to our corporate members, and the students who attend and depend upon CAHME accredited programs to advance in their career. Number 2, we want to make sure that our teams are evaluating programs consistently and that there is a help me, help you culture of our site visit teams. And 3, we want to expand CAHME's impact in the industry. This means accrediting more healthcare management programs domestically, growing globally, and growing our service lines beyond the traditional healthcare management, population health, and healthcare quality and safety. I mean, what we want you to hear is that we are not going to lower our standards. So our standards are not going to be lower. We're going to maintain those higher standards, but we envision that CAHME will continue exploring engineering models that allow us to field accreditation questions using everyday language. Our aim is really to streamline the accreditation process without compromising the high standards that characterize CAHME programs as the gold standard in healthcare management education. CAHME's growth has not come at making our standards easier. Our standards are, and it is the board's intention for them to always be the gold standard of healthcare management education. Every 2 years, the leadership of the Standards Council changes. James Lineberger led the Standards Council for the past 2 years, and Maureen Jones began her term on July 1 and will go through June of 2025. We are asking both here, as James led the past 2 years with significant improvements in the standards and criteria, as part of the reimagining the accreditation process. Maureen will be spending the next 2 years in a thorough evaluation of our criteria to determine if it is meeting the needs of healthcare. This 2-year review process is mandated by our bylaws and is a critical part of CAHME. By June 2025, Maureen will have completed the review. The board will approve the standards, and the 2021 standards will then make way for the 2026 standards. And with that, I'd like James to go ahead and take it away and take us through the standard.
Thanks, Todd. Good morning, everyone. The Standards Council continued the work done under the leadership of my predecessor, Steve Sidlowski, and worked to further clarify our standards and criteria. The theme really for the Standards Council is consistency and application and approach, and that's the theme of my update this morning as well. Our goal is to make the self-study guide and the annual report consistent. It is our goal to eliminate reporting data on both. We're not quite there yet, so we'll take that up in the fall as well. Back in 2021, we kicked off a meeting similar to this in which we reported to you the goal of eliminating reporting data on the self-study guide and the annual report. The goal is to make the annual report as the key outcomes and program defining data for use. I'm happy to report this morning that after careful study, review, and discussion by the Standards Council in coordination with the Accreditation Council and approval by the board, the annual report will be the de facto standard for data. Management created a technical proof of concept so that programs could drag and drop information from the CAHME annual report editor, or CARE, to the CAHME Accreditation Management Portal, CAMP, and this is currently under implementation. The annual report will be part of the accreditation review of programs, and that's regardless of whether they're applying in candidacy, if they're adding a modality, or if they're being reaccredited. Again, we're now requiring all applicants and all programs seeking to add an additional modality to have completed the annual report for at least 2 years worth of data. Why is this? Well, we believe that this will make programs that are proceeding to accreditation status more robust, and also to enable reviewers to have data to base their determination on programs proceeding. It also gives the program a benchmark to compare their programs. The board also approved a single self-study guide for each of our service lines, those being healthcare management, population health, and healthcare quality and safety. Relevant appendices will be used as appropriate. We also created a site visit readiness checklist. And with the implementation of this checklist, we saw the percent of site visit delays requested by our site visit teams decrease significantly to only 4% of visits, which accounted for one program last year. Again, a consistent approach of submitting the checklist goes to all programs having a site visit, and they have to meet the requirements of the checklist before the site visit team actually schedules the visit. We want to make sure that our programs are being compared consistently. The Standard Council and the board agree that we are requiring all programs to have a response rate on their student-based surveys that is at least 20%. And notably, most programs are a lot higher than that. If a program does not meet the standard, they will need to inform the Accreditation Council how the program intends to meet the standard during the next cycle, the next time through. If they're unable to meet the standard, the council will determine next steps, which could include probation or deaccreditation. And please note that the income measure, and for that income measure and only for income, the board approved a phase in this year of only 10%. Again, satisfaction, the standard for satisfaction is 20%. We're also adding value to you, the programs. Management has heard many of you asking for compensation benchmarks on faculty, and CAHME is delivering what programs have requested. This will be offered free for all programs that complete an annual report. Let's take a look at how easy it is to select a peer group to determine faculty salary benchmarks. So this is an example of a CAFE compensation report highlighting the salary by school, college, category, and scope. Note that the data that you're seeing on the screen is simply sample data. An update that we released CAFE just in July, and while the CAHME annual report is in the very beginning stages, there are already nearly 200 faculty profiles that are completed in CAFE. Again, that's 200 profiles with about a month of entry at the very beginning of the process. Management suggests that we could have to create normative benchmarks based on the criteria you select. This will be a big help for the programs that participate to secure the resources they need for their faculty recruitment efforts. And again, this is available to you at no additional cost. Overall, CAHME's data assets are provided to the public and to programs to facilitate improvement. Last year, we introduced the CAHME Annual Report Benchmarking, or CARB, to enable programs to benchmark their programs against a peer group. Enhanced benchmarking has been available for several years. And again, transparency and excellence rings true throughout all of this. I really appreciate the opportunity to serve as your Standards Council Chair for the last 2 years. I'd like now to transition to our current chair, Dr. Maureen Jones, who's going to provide an update regarding the upcoming standards revision cycle. Dr. Jones.
Thank you, James. Tough act to follow. So I appreciate all the work that you've done and want to thank the board and the staff for their support as we move forward into what will be, I think, a really fun 2 years. What we have for you on the screen is really just a brief overview of how we hope to approach this. And I know it said that I was going to revise the standards, but trust me, I will not be doing this alone. We will have a lot of great working groups. We will be looking to practitioners as well as academics to lead those working groups. And we want to make sure that there's a really strong feedback loop, right? So that we hear from you, we take that feedback, we consider how we can include it. We want to know what's working and what's not working. Obviously, not every idea will make it into the finals, but we hope to take as much as we can and really listen to the programs and the program directors and understand how we can really improve the standards and really pay attention to what's happening in the world, right? So there's a gap between these reviews for a really good reason. And as you can see, we'll work all the way through to getting these in your inbox for 2026 standards. And so look out for opportunities to volunteer to be a part of working groups, opportunities to give feedback for the program directors. And we hope that all the faculty will participate in kind of leveling up that information to the program directors for us. And just know that we're, excited and open to hear all of your ideas. And so now I'm going to flip over and introduce you to Christine Wynn, who's chaired the CAHME Accreditation Council since 2022 and is also a board member.
Thanks, Maureen. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the time today, and thank you for the great participation thus far. So wanted to talk a little bit about the Accreditation Council. We've had a very busy year. Overall, we ended the year with 141 accredited programs, which continues our 7-year trend of growth. We have a very healthy pipeline, as you can see in the top half of this graph, of programs that are contemplating accreditation, as well as we reviewed about 37 programs throughout last year's activity. So we're really excited about the support that we're offering to the programs. And CAHME created a dedicated team over the course of the last year for candidacy. Mike Meacham and Tisha Mentzer are working with the candidacy programs to help them get over that hump, to better be prepared for the candidacy and as well for their site visits as they come through. As decisions are made by the candidacy committee, the team and readers meet with the universities to sort of explain and go through these various things in terms of trying to really help them understand what they need to do, which will allow us to meet all of these goals in terms of decreasing the time in candidacy, decreasing partially mets, and really help with the throughput of the time that the programs spend in candidacy. The Accreditation Council also took up a self-review question. And as Todd mentioned in his intro, we really want to focus on our reliability. And so an analysis was performed to look at the distribution of site visits that didn't meet the standards and whether the programs received a 3 or 7 year reaccreditation. We looked at the failure rate by criterion and by 3-year or 7-year reaccreditation. The council has much more work to do on this, but the thought was that we could create kind of areas of concern. The council will never be specific about a number of partially mets or not mets, but we really want to work on improving our own decision-making and our reliability. So this is a very busy slide, but the takeaways on this, as a practitioner, one of the things that I tend to do is make things analogous to the practice that I have. And so on the Accreditation Council, I really look at our role as sort of the Joint Commission. So the Joint Commission being the regulators and the accreditors for hospital systems, I look at our role and how we want to evolve and look at the Joint Commission and the kinds of things that they've done to evolve their standards, their review process, and the way that they look at themselves. And so our analysis on our accreditation decisions over the last 10 years plotted how many not mets and the accreditation decisions that were rendered. This provided the council a directional look at our reliability over time and the ranges of what was deemed acceptable for the types of accreditation decisions. The council is going to continue to work on this to evaluate our standard level patterns and see what additional information this could offer to better serve our programs. Because again, as Todd mentioned in his intro, that's our ultimate goal, is really serving the programs better and making sure the students get the kind of education that they need. So what's to come in 2024? So through the pandemic, we learned many things, and one was how to virtually interact. And so a task force was established to determine the criterion and the timing of virtual site visits. We learned that sometimes a virtual site visit just makes more sense than an on-site one. If a program is fully virtual and no students are on campus and no faculty are on campus, well, there's really not a campus for us to visit. So it doesn't make sense to send 3 people to sit in a room and do 3 days of Zoom calls. So the task force is going to deliver their results about this to the rest of the Accreditation Council, and we'll be making those results known to everyone. But as was mentioned, our intention is not to relax the rigor, but to offer other options. And I think many of us have seen that through the pandemic, that there are other options to interact and that we can capitalize on those new technologies that we have available to us. Not to read the slide, but just making sure that everybody knows that recommendations will be made during our fall Accreditation Council meeting. And next, I'd like to turn it over to Dolores Clement, whose work on our board began back in 2015 and is our longest serving board member. So Dolores, take it away.
Thanks, Christine. I want to add that I was 6 years on the Accreditation Council before moving to the board, which also helped informed me and helped move me towards, from the measures of reliability you looked at from the programs, to measures of reliability among the site visitors, because that inter-rater reliability was a concern. CAHME's strategic plan sought to develop a process for recognizing fellows as a way to demonstrate their commitment to the field and their professionalism. And basically, over the 2 decades that I've served as a volunteer for CAHME, I've seen us move from almost a see one, do one to a culture of educators training the next level of site visitors to help improve inter-rater reliability. So site visitors go through significant education, surveys, and training to help improve that reliability and to keep them engaged over the time that they're doing this, because it is a lot of work. Through their volunteer efforts, fellows play an essential role in CAHME's accreditation process. We are going to cover 5 key strategies for fellows: the fellow education, fellow recognition process, which includes digital badging, the development of comprehensive site visitor roles and responsibilities, a video that reinforces site visitors as brand ambassadors, and a Fellow of the Year award that honors a fellow by selecting a CAHME Master Fellow as best exemplifying the qualities of being a CAHME site visitor. Finally, for CAHME, by continuing to reinforce a growth path for fellows and providing educational materials and support, this should help in our goal of continuing to improve site visitor inter-rater reliability, which goes along with the program reliability as well. Fellow education is the first step, and education is required in the Core Learning Center. All site visitors must complete 2 courses, a Site Visitor Basics and Accreditation Basics course within the CLC before being formally approved as a fellow. All fellows are then required to complete a What's New refresher course. Fellowship levels are based on criteria and commitment. To recognize our fellows, we created a badge renewed annually based on experience, satisfaction, and ongoing education. Experience counts. The higher the number of lifetime site visits, the eligibility for higher levels kicks in. And recent experience counts as well. Fellows need to be practicing fellows. Satisfaction, which we are using as a surrogate for inter-rater reliability, is another measure. And of course, completion of the ongoing education offered through the CLC to stay abreast with maintaining skills in the accreditation council. So as standards are revised, the fellows who are going out are being educated in what those revisions are, what the intent was, and all as they make their assessments. We also updated, simplified, and created a graphic representation of the roles of our site visitors. So Dan West helped in this and is seen there on one of the slides, basically summarizes what goes on and what to expect and what the roles and responsibilities are of each person on the team. To reinforce the culture, myself, Dan West, and Bill Tuttle did a video that reinforces the role of our site visitors to meet our mission, advancing the quality of healthcare management education. We discuss how site visitors are careful stewards of the program and CAHME resources, and how graciousness to the program being accredited is important, and how site visitors are really the embodiment of CAHME, making it more collegial as opposed to more, enforcement, if you will. So trying to improve the quality was our goal and is our goal and continues to be. The board approved the creation of an award to recognize a fellow that is nominated by other site visitors and programs visited, has a history of service as a fellow for helping programs to succeed, and demonstrates a commitment to advance the quality of health management education. The board will name this the first winner of this award in the fall. I want to thank the CAHME board for the honor of having the award named after me. I tried to change their minds, but they didn't listen. Being the board that they are, very strong. Being part of CAHME is so important to me and to what we as educators want to accomplish is an honor, and I'm humbled by having the award named after me. So looking at all of this, have we improved site visitor inter-rater reliability over these 2 decades, of course, that I've been working on it and more that others have worked on it? With all these areas focusing on our fellows, the question is, does it work? Have we improved inter-rater reliability? Well, the trends that we see are positive. And from this chart, you can see the consistency within teams and among teams has improved. In the spring 2023, there were no site visitors who had rated the members of their team inconsistent in their determination, and that the consistency among all different teams that they have been on is very high. Want to acknowledge the fact that even though the ends that are shown there are high, we've got included in these surveys is a member from every team that went out in these various years, even though we might not have had everybody respond to the survey. So they are statistically significant, and we have tested this over and over again, being the nerds that we are in looking at statistics as academics. We're not done. Education and training, rewards and recognition, it's all hard work that the team is doing to make our site visitors well prepared and to make CAHME better. So, except at the height of the pandemic, 3/4 of our site visitors were very satisfied. And as we also see, this work has resulted in the site visitors being happy overall with their site visit experience. In fiscal year 2021, which was the pandemic year and all visits were virtual, we saw more dissatisfaction. You can see from fiscal year 2022 and then in the fall of 2022 and spring of 2023 that the satisfaction levels have improved with no neutral ratings and no reported dissatisfaction in the spring of 2023. 75% of our site visitors are very satisfied with their site visitor experience. Again, as I said, our work is ongoing. It's not done. There's a lot more to accomplish, but the board believes that it has made important steps moving forward. So now let me introduce the past chair for fiscal 2023, Forrest Kim. Forrest led us through an incredible year of growth and adaptation to the post-pandemic period. I just want to acknowledge all he has done to ensure that CAHME is on target with meeting our mission, advancing the quality of health management education, and acknowledging that he's gone on site visits with me and is an incredible site visitor as well. Forrest.
Thanks so much, Loris, and thank you for everything you've done. And you've definitely earned the naming of that award. So I'm so happy that we were able to do that and resist your resistance. So, well, Todd opened up a slide showing that we ended 2023 with 141 programs. 2008, we were at 87, and so we had 62% larger than we were 15 years ago. And from another perspective, at that time, 82% of the programs were delivering most of their content in the classroom. So we definitely have had to adapt over time. While much has changed at CAHME, we realize that the volunteers are our lifeblood. So we really couldn't do this job without all our volunteers at respective levels. So this slide really shows the different standing committees within CAHME. But in addition to these, many that are on the call right now have participated in other Blue Ribbon panels, other councils, committees, and task forces. It's estimated that each year, 250 volunteers help CAHME either through committee work or as site visitors. If you want to see the leadership of the CAHME board, please go to our website at cahme.org. This is a listing of all our corporate members. We're particularly appreciative of their support and are very thankful to these organizations. In addition to our corporate members, we have great partnerships and relationships outside of them. These enable us to extend our influence worldwide. So CAHME really is a small organization, but by pairing up with like-minded organizations, we extend our brand. So AACSB, we began a policy with them and are doing joint site visits. NCHL, we have a white paper on fellowships, and we'll actually be holding a masterclass at their national meeting this year. IHF, the International Hospital Federation, we worked with them on global competencies and developing their model. The European Health Management Association, we're actually on the precipice of some major breakthroughs with that organization. And then AAVI, the Aviator Accreditor, we recently co-published a white paper that yielded some great insights on quality and safety. And then last, we've been in talks with Joint Commission, which is building on long-standing management relationships. So really, CAHME has never been on more solid ground as it relates to our external partners. So this slide just shows several of our sponsors for our CAHME Awards program. For the upcoming 9th annual CAHME Awards, we'll offer 6 student scholarships, 2 awards for accredited programs. Canon Solutions America and George and Reggie Hertzlinger Foundation have committed to 3 more years of their awards. A white paper will soon be released on the long-term impact on the CAHME Awards program, which have raised to date more than $1.3 million. We thank the American College of Healthcare Executives for their ongoing support as our venue sponsor for their awards program, and Modern Healthcare as our exclusive media sponsor for their 2 full-page ads highlighting the award. Historically, more than 20% of CAHME accredited programs submit at least 1 application for a CAHME award annually. In addition, more than 24 industry and academic thought leaders have served as Blue Ribbon panelists and evaluated these applications. It's really important because these awards are selected by outside experts in the field. The CAHME Awards program helps to promote our value proposition by highlighting best practices and is consistent with our mission of advancing the quality of healthcare management education. If you have any questions or would like to apply for an award, we ask that you contact Dana Alexander, CAHME's Communications and Engagement Manager, at dalexander@cahme.org. And you see her email address posted there. So in addition to the awards program, we've actually published several podcasts and white papers. CAHME's podcast was downloaded over 1,200 times last year. Our white paper series, which for the past 7 years has been updated with 2 papers each year, will feature 2 papers in 2023, 2024. In late July, we released a paper on quality and safety. Canon Solutions America sponsored the CAHME white paper, The Ripple Effect, the long-term impact of the CAHME Awards program. In fiscal year 2022, the white papers were April, charting a new course, Impact of COVID-19 on Healthcare Management. In September, with AACSB, joining forces to reduce accreditation fatigue. Again in September, with NCHL, growing together the give and take of healthcare management fellowships, was also a featured session at ACHE Congress. So this slide just provides some information on the CAHME Core Learning Center. I think several on the call are members. The Learning Center minimizes travel expenses, expands access to content, and provides participants with the ability to review the materials based on their availability. The content includes CAHME accreditation education sessions, site visitor modules, and expert practices area. We added an on-site master classes more than a year ago, which delve into areas of interest beyond the basics. The goal of all of this is to improve program quality and help programs be better prepared to meet CAHME standards. So we actually conducted an effectiveness analysis that compared programs that were either accredited or re-accredited from the start of the Core Learning Center, which was the fall of 2020, to accreditation decisions made in the fall of 2022. So we compared these programs who subscribed to the Core Learning Center versus those that did not. And as those statistics show, initial accredited programs that subscribe to the Core Learning Center compared to initial accredited programs that do not subscribe take 8 less months to proceed from their initial eligibility submission to the date of their site visit. They also have 7% fewer partially mets and not mets, and have 30% more strengths. Reaccredited programs that subscribe to the Core Learning Center compared to reaccredited programs that do not subscribe have 11% fewer partially mets and not mets, and have 18% more strengths. So the success is due to CAHME team working to target and educate the programs on areas and criterion with the greatest concern. Currently, there are 51 programs that are subscribed. So CAHME and our programs, which are all of you, our site visits and all our various partners, volunteers and stakeholders, we're coming out of a very difficult season, COVID-19. We believe a stronger and a better organization with process that were both developed and hardened during that time. The programs we serve and the volunteers who contribute their time enable CAHME to grow. And all of this is really with the focus of our mission, which is to advance the quality of healthcare management education. So we've structured this session to actually allow for some ample time. We know that many of you need to probably transition here shortly, but this call is actually extended to 10:30 Central. So at this time, we'd like to answer any questions that you might have.
Forrest, there were a couple questions in the chat, and let me kind of, the first one came from, it was, how many programs are accredited for population health management, and how many programs are accredited for healthcare quality and safety of the 141 accredited programs? And now let me kind of address that because we have the numbers. I won't kind of leave this up to the board to do, but we have 2 programs that are currently accredited for healthcare quality and safety. And that process began about 5 years ago, where we created the standards. We kind of, Eric just raised his hand, 3 programs accredited for healthcare quality and safety. I'm sorry. We created the standards. We created a whole process and structure for looking at this new service line and began to move the programs through. So we currently have 3 programs accredited in healthcare quality and safety, and there's a couple more that should be coming up really soon on that. In terms of population health management, we just opened up that process last fall. So we have several programs who are in that process and that we expect to get from them candidacy applications by the end of this month, that will kind of begin that process of going through candidacy and then their self-study year and then for a site visit. So it will be a few more years before we get population health management programs in the accredited process.
While we're waiting for questions, can I make a couple comments?
Go ahead, Dolores.
I just want to thank so many people, because we couldn't have done this by ourselves. There's so many probably on the call. I don't know who all is out there. I haven't been looking, but so many who preceded us and so many who are still working on it, that I would just like to thank for improving all that we do and for giving us their candid feedback so that we know what to improve. It really is important that we, the board, hear things like that, and that we can take it forward. And so I just really wanted to thank them. I also want to do my own plug because I was one of the early adopters of Quint's hardwiring book early on. And, my students came up with the term studerized because they got to learn the process and all. And I'm sure that many of those who are out there practicing right now will be interested in seeing how to rewire excellence as well. So again, thank you, Quinn, for what you're doing for us.
Yes, Fran, thank you for the question. You are able to share rewiring excellence with your students. The only kind of limitation on it that Quinn has put is that the offer expires October 15th to download it for free. Yes, you please share it. We encourage you to kind of share it with your students. Thank you, Fran. There was a question Tom asked about what's the best method for recommending new members for site visit teams. And, to me, it's really exciting because we do get a lot of questions, of course, from the Academy about it, because it's interesting from an academic perspective to learn what other programs are doing. But the fascinating part for me are the number of executives that volunteer for this. So we've got folks like Tom, who's involved in private equity, and we've got, and as well as has spent a career in hospitals and health systems, people in long-term care, insurance, James Lineberger with physician group practice management, variety of different areas in this. So the best way for a site to get a site member team interested is I would say first send them to me or to Eric, or Melissa, but probably preferably to me, because I do interview all of the site members of the site visit teams, and I try to make sure that they understand the commitment that's involved in this, that once you commit to a site visit, you're committed to the site visit. And there's also education that occurs, and there's also a process of being an observer, and then ongoing education that's part of it. So what I do is I talk to folks. I usually spend about an hour on the phone with them, and just to see if this is something they're interested in. And if they say they are, I then turn them over to Melissa Sanseverino and Melissa Cross, who then get them involved in the Core Learning Center. And for Melissa Sanseverino, getting all the materials that we need to get to send to the Accreditation Council for the next stage of review. The council also examines people with their commitment based on why they want to do it. They need to write a letter talking about why they want to do it. If they're currently employed, and we do have several retired site visitors, but if they're employed, a letter from their manager, and if they're a CEO, they actually have to get a letter from their board saying that they can be released to do this, and then also a resume or a CV that's provided, and that goes to the council for final approval. And then we kind of move forward with it. It is exciting to see the growth of site visitors. I'm looking at Terry Chanot right now, and I think Terry came on a couple years ago in the healthcare quality and safety space. And we're actually beginning the process of training site visitors in population health management. And although we don't have any accredited programs in population health management, we're getting them to see what we do in health management at this perspective, kind of moving through. So a very exciting process for that. But first send them to me. If there are questions that you want to ask directly to me, and maybe a little reluctant to go in front of this group, certainly send to me an email and let's suggest some dates, and I'm happy to have some discussion with you. So thank you for that question too. I won't kind of define who placed that, but I'm happy and I'm available to talk to people, and just send an email to me and we'll set up a time and date to discuss. So with that, again, thank you very much for your time today. We had 184 people register for this session. So the session will be available on our website to kind of share and discuss with other folks. We'll make that available through an email to let you know how it'll be. But, again, on behalf of the board, thank you all. Thank you all for all that you do to help make healthcare management education better. Whether as a site visitor, whether as a board member, council member, program director, in all of the areas that you work with. I really want to thank my staff too, staff of CAHME, for all that they do and their commitment to make CAHME better. I haven't worked with a finer group of people in my entire career. Thank you all for all that you do for us. So with that, we'll let you go. Take care, everyone.